Just want to.
Okay, testing captions and live stream. We will be starting our welcome with Maryland Poet Laureate Grace Cavalieri shortly. Thank you for anyone who is attending the Day of Belonging virtually. We are so excited that you're part of this event today.
I'm gonna tell you though. Wait till I tell you. No, it's literally weird. No. Why is it good?
If you're able, please stand for the national anthem.
Never heard that more beautiful.
That is wonderful. It is something to stand here in front of all of your beautiful faces. Thank you for being here. I'm going to do like a quarter of the thanks required for this day up top. Thank you, first of all, for being here. You could have been anywhere, and we're really glad that you're here. It is stressful to put a thing like this together, and I cannot imagine a better team to have done it. Our board members, of course, Rob Haney, our social media manager, where you at? Without him, perhaps none of you would have known this was happening. And Amelia Bain, whose genius you'll get to know, but who does a ton of behind the scenes stuff to keep us, to keep everything accessible online. So thank you. Our more than one story program coordinator and craft queen, Valerie Acosta. And from Canada, she made the photo station out there. Please do take some photos and tag us in them. And I want to thank a person who maybe you all know and we'll meet again a little bit later, Ashley Bramble, our director. She is, I'd say, the better half of my brain, but I actually use like 3/4 of it. Without Ashley, we would not have chairs to sit on, maybe. Not enough. We wouldn't have hotel rooms or registration process. We'd have like poetry though. And you'll meet also later Ben Weekly, our director of development, who will talk to you a little bit. So you know, But our opening today is by somebody very special and dear and very long to Grace Cavalieri. She is the author of 26 books and chapbooks of poetry. She's also written text and lyrics performed for opera, television, and film. She said not to read her whole bio because she'll seem old. 26 plays produced on American stages. Her 21st play, Tilting the Sun, was presented at the Smithsonian Institution and received its world premiere at Center Stage, South Carolina. Her latest play is Anna Nicole, Blonde Glory. Grace produces, and you'll hear some of that work. Grace produces and hosts The Poet and the Poem, the longest running weekly poetry program ever, now on public radio from the Library of Congress via NPR Satellite and Pacifica Radio, and also available on the moon. In the lunar code. So that's real. You thought I was joking, but no, that's the kind of quality we're bringing here. Grace is an extraordinarily gifted artist, a wildly generous human being, and once was almost removed from the Army Navy Club dining hall for wearing sneakers. She shouted, "I'm 87, I can wear sneakers," and finished her meal. I can tell her I was gonna, I was there. I can tell her I was gonna tell them. She is the poet laureate of Maryland right now, and Maryland has been so lucky to have her. We are all so very fortunate for her to open the Day of Belonging for us. Please give a warm and rambunctious and rowdy welcome to the one and only Grace Cavalieri.
My darlings, I got a pedicure for you. Coming for you. This is my favorite place and my favorite people. And it's one of my aura. So I'm going to talk about poetry because I have 14 minutes and I timed it, but I'll tell you every word I say is true. And I'm going to tell you why. I was poet laureate appointed by Hogan, and I was supposed to have a 2-year tenure, and I've been 5 years. So I think Governor Moore is going to appoint a new one soon. And I have had the best time. I've traveled throughout the state of Maryland. I've taught teenagers that they had an interior life. I've taught old people that they weren't old. I actually bought that myself. I'll be 92 and I'm still home. So I just want to tell you the things that I learned and believed about poetry in this tour as laureate. And one thing I learned is that poetry rinses off the language. And I found that with everyone who wrote, because we need to take what everyone says and make it new. So I was in the 1st grade and I said to the little kids, I said, well, what is poetry? And a little girl said, it's feelings. Oh my God, I was so glad I thought you did it wrong. You know, this younger generation is hip. So I said, well, you know, what if you had to wear the same little dress every day for a year? Wouldn't it get dusty and dirty? And she said, yes, I wouldn't like it. And I said, well, that's the way words are. Language gets dusty and dirty too. And poetry comes and makes it fresh. And these kids get it. If you tell them, they will get it. And that's what I found during my 5-year tenure. Also, I found that poetry slows you down. And I'm Italian, so I need it. But you cannot write poetry in a hurry. And you cannot read poetry in a hurry. You can't speed read poetry. And so the whole thing of being slowed down is, guess what? You get to see things. You get to see the tree has a branch, has a leaf, has a vein. not just a blur or green. So that the third thing it does is it makes you appreciate nature more. And those are the things I have found in my whole long life, but more than ever working with people this year. The fourth thing it does is it makes you less lonely. And I found out that when the teenagers who were wired outward like this, once they told their stories to each other, and somebody said, you know, I have always felt that too. And I was ashamed to say it. And I feel so much better now that you told me you think that too. So what poetry does is it crosses that invisible bridge to each other and unifies, which is not a bad thing in this climate and in this world. And it makes you less lonely. And another thing it does, most importantly, from ancient times, it preserves the beloved. For every time you write a poem about someone, you create a portrait that will live longer than you will. So I went into the schools in Patterson, New Jersey, and I have to say, I went in some schools where the security guards, and where is that wall? Is it? How did you know that? Went to the school and they said, you know, these kids, "Ooh." Well, I did not find that to be true. I found them to be dehydrated, and all they needed was some poetry, and they popped right up. And so I asked each one in this fourth grade who they would like to preserve. And I went around the room and each one said who they would like to preserve, and it would knock you out. So I wrote a very long poem, which I will not read. But it will tell you something about my experience. How do we go into such a classroom? How do we make an ocean start? How will we find when they fall down what they were running from? We preserve the beloved. Ramon wants to preserve his father. He left us. He took care of me. He used to give me a bath. Luanda wants her baby sister who is no longer here. Julio wants to keep forever his stepfather who treats him equal like his other son. Voices of the dream on the blackboard, the place behind it, opening in a tattered classroom in Patterson, New Jersey. And preserving the beloved is something that poetry has made honorable since ancient times. And I was just reading a couple of poems by people today, and every time they mention someone, I think, they don't realize that they're preserving that person. So that's one of the things that I believe, and finally, almost finally, I'm never really finally, but almost finally, I believe that really everything you write adds to our civilization. Don't think that what you're doing is just what you're doing. The only record we have of human sensibilities is from way before patriarch, the ancient times, not the land deals, not the kings and queens correspondence, not the land stock sales. Poetry is the only place we know what people felt. Imagine that from 2200 BC. So everything, if you stop writing, we stop civilization. We are adding to the record of humankind, and we're not just people doing it. So everything we do is furthering, or we'll be three-dimensional people walking around in the mud with no civilization. So those are the things I learned. But sometimes people think that poetry is like playing bridge. Oh, somebody said, well, she's a poet. And I said, oh. Might not have anything to do. So they think it's like baking, right? So this book is called How Poem Begins. It's a little thing. Could be the long O's in Kosovo, or a woman alone in the street after the hurricane sweeping Honduras. Perhaps we tell of the child beneath a flood in New Orleans, or feet bloody from walking the rubble of Afghanistan. Such a tiny voice, no one can hear it. Sometimes it says, I can't breathe. That's why we write of such little things, such insignificant things. And that's what I think of. My thing in life is bringing women into history that have been forgotten. And it's been a great night. So I have found a famous woman that nobody knew about, and I've spent a year researching her, and then I put her up and make her famous. And I don't get any money for it, but it's fun. You know? So when I was in graduate school in 1975, I had 4 children at home, and I discovered Mary Wollstonecraft. Now, no one knew her in 1975. And I was studying 18th century literature, and this Mary Shelley had all the press because she wrote Frankenstein, and she married the poet Shelley, and she was Mary Wollstonecraft's daughter. I thought, nobody knew the mother. This is cray-cray. So I read all of her work and I blew my mind. Wrote The Vindication, first woman feminist, 18th century. Wrote The Vindication of Women, started the first school for girls. Wrote about the French Revolution, the American Revolution was equal, shoulder to shoulder to men. But she did want them too, because of conflict, and that was where I got it was a good conflict for my play. But first I wrote this book in her voice, and I'm just going to read one poem which tells how she felt. You see, I got history, and I said, well, the historians know what she did, but I knew what she felt, because I had been everywhere she'd been. And so she wrote this book, and she's sitting in the village square. It's called Overheard Today. A vicious sound, famous lady with her book. Oh, I could not hear the rest. And leaning closer to the murmuring until she straightened, and then I thought she spoke of me, Mary Wollstonecraft. She held my book, Vindication, and shook it at her partner. My face flushed. Word a man speaking, I would not crumble. But now I fear my dream is uninhabitable. All women are in danger unless we pick the bough from the tree ourselves. Yet a stranger was condemning me in a public place. Why not grant me the courtesy given male authors, saying it is controversial? Her furious sends in my body. She said I made the quest for survival all the worse because I can read and write. Does that give me a masculine mind, or just a mind? Now she jumped off the London Bridge into the Thames. You know why? Because she really thought the women would be behind her. And when they turned their backs on her, it killed her. She couldn't take it. It broke her really. Because at that time, there was a rule in London that men could beat their women with a stick. The rule, have you ever heard of rule of thumb? As big as a thumb. So it was a mandate. And the women did not want to rock the boat and make it worse at home. So they actually turned their backs on her. But I got back at them. Then when all the country thought hyena and petticoats, and Mary is now she fought. And so after Mary, there's nowhere to go but out in the cold. Nobody really, I don't know if you all even remember her, but she was a model for Guess jeans. And then the men found her and filled her full of drugs and propped her up and made her a big buffoon and made her a sexual object. And she didn't know who she was. She had her son overdosed in her hospital room. She had a baby. Nobody knew his father. I mean, it was just, listen, she had net connections. Then Marilyn Monroe, James Mansfield, Judy Garland, they all had much more. then 4, and she had no family, no nothing. So I saw her when she had her baby on television, and she had these beautiful cheekbones, and I knew what she could have been. So I wrote a play that was off Broadway. It was called Anna Nicole Blonde Glory. You can tell by the title. And I gave her a marriage, I gave her a baby, I vindicated her, I gave her everything she wanted. And I said, you know, writers don't make any money, but they can change the narrative. And that's pretty cool to be able to do. It's a good way to live. Well, she was a bimbo, it's true. But it was my bimbo. So I'm going to read just one how she got hooked. And it's called Anna's Estate. At the half-star hotel, the lower lip is painted bigger to match her dreams of being a star. She blessed the lumpy beds, bought her own silk sheets. This was before the moral issues, the legal issues, the spirit of the law, the letter of the law, the causes of death, junkies, drug addicts, probable criminal cause, bodies exhumed, frozen sperm, mystery sites, living in sorrow, wrongful death under influences, before the opalescent oceans where she could never find the truth in things, where she wanted a photo album so bad so she wouldn't die without memories. One day, standing at the free continental breakfast, dragging her sleeve in the jelly, someone came by, touching her waist like a prayer, like an enfranchisement, and she was on her way, in a dress made for someone much smaller, trusting a stranger because he said, the good Lord can see what happens in Hollywood. And there she was on the downward spiral. So I've dedicated my life to making her everything she wanted to be. And it's a wonderful what it is. And she loves me. Listen, I had a dream. She came to me and pressed her chest, and it was a considerable experience. And oh my God, the energy was incredible. And Mary Wollstonecraft just talks to me all the time. I say, Mary, all right already. These people are preaching. Don't think they don't. And they're alive too. So I have to say that if we do not, I'm going to end this with poems. If we write and we do not tell who we are, you do not tell who you are. And Ray, that's why I was so happy to read your poem, because I know who you are. And if you don't do that, you will come and go and you will never know you are here. Do you want that? So I will tell you who I am. I was a military wife for 30 years, and my husband was a naval aviator. But the cool thing is that I knew him when I was 13 and he was 15, junior high school number 3. And we grew up together. And we had a marriage of 60 years when he died 10 years ago. But he was kind of my hero. And this is called Safety for Ken Flynn. When you were in the 9th grade and I was in the 7th, you were a crossing guard, keeping order at junior high school number 3. No one was disobedient when you wore that wide yellow strap across your chest. No one bruised another, caused trouble, or so much as threw a stone. No one cracked a joke about you, a man in uniform. How did that yellow vest feed your soul to let you know someday you'd fly a plane just to feel the power of a strap across your chest? What liberation to know how to be in charge, strong and capable, flying through gunfire and lightning again and again to come back to me. Although we were young, you were 15 and I was 13. Since then, I've never known the world without you. Now I must be 12. Tell your truth. That's all we can really do. And I'll end with this, which is my antidote. It's called work is my secret lover. And I was telling you, it has to be, you have to do your own work before you do somebody else's, or you can't serve them. So work is my secret lover. Work takes the palm of my hand to kiss in the middle of the night. It holds my wrist lightly and feels the pulse. Work is who you'll find with me when you tiptoe up the stairs and hear my footsteps through the shadows. You'll see me lift my arm to stretch and then lean down to put my head to it. Work threatened to die once for all that was left unsaid. So I took to it, flushed with excitement, adultery too, yes, I admit it. On all the holidays, when others gathered at the table, I was dreaming of it, making love to the movement of paper, the words from my lips, the feel of it. Sometimes, when company came, I threw a tablecloth over my work and set the plates, and everyone acted as if nothing were visible, pretending I was the good host I was. While on the Christmas tree, work waited patiently among ornaments gleaming like a groom. I am guilty as charged, for nothing else could buy my feelings. And why would I sell the only thing that ever loved me the way I loved back? But my beautiful, long-lasting, faithful lover, my friend who will never leave. Thank you so much.
You just like to make old people happy.
I just don't know what to do with myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be very fair. What a spectacular opening for our time together. It's been a long road to get here, to this gathering. In January of 2019, I left my job as a contractor at Laureate in Fort Belvoir and came to run CDAW full time, doing much of the same things that we've been doing with the support of Ashi Pali-Paramble, who is then at the USO. And we continued that way until in March 2020, we went online. As y'all know, like this is not my particular story. So much of my study around communication and emotional intelligence came with the understanding that the physical body is part of the conversation, right? And I didn't know how we could possibly replicate that in a virtual setting. That first week that we went online, it was just me and one soldier who came to my writing workshop regularly at Fort Belvoir. It was just the two of us on Zoom. The second week, there were a few more people. And by the end of that month, we started our beloved Friday campaign. We added our Tuesday night healthcare workers program. And we began to think of place in a different way, of self in a different way. So welcome to a day of belonging. So often experiences of belonging are sort of weaponized, right? They come with this sense of exclusion. To belong here, those others must not belong. To belong here, you must not belong there. The way so often belonging is used to enforce a sense of tribalism and division. That is not a necessary component of belonging. That is wrong the same way I was wrong when I was hesitant about the potential of online programs. I thought we all had to be in the same place. We don't have to be in the same place geographically, just like we don't have to be in a common place emotionally. We don't have to be in the same place politically or biographically. Instead, we have to each be in one very particular place. And that place I believe, is truly in ourselves. And to feel safe to be in that place, we have to be surrounded by a majority of people who are also truly in themselves. I say majority because we are a rolling admissions organization. And not everyone has mature practice of self-examination when they start. Like a Montessori classroom, I always say. And so as a group, we sometimes have to be patient. During your day here, you'll probably meet people you might not otherwise have run into anywhere else. People with different life stories, different abilities, different talents. People you definitely want to know. So as we spend our time together today, I want to invite you to be friendly, to talk to other folks, to take that risk, and know that people came here knowing it's called a day of belonging. And they're going to be showing up for you. Ask folks how they got here, how they heard about it. Ask them what they're working on, and ask for help when you need it. Yes, from staff and volunteers. There's so many wonderful volunteers here working the event, but also from anyone else here. We are in this place to belong. And actually, and this is like something that it took me way too long, definitely didn't know this in high school. The easiest way to feel belonging is to make someone else feel welcome by giving belonging. So we got a couple more speakers before we get back to tell you some things. I'm so delighted to introduce, with an enormous debt of gratitude, Lauren Campbell, the VP of Education and Community Engagement here with our co-presenter Strathmore, who have shared this beautiful space and helped us pay our facilitators and get them here. We wouldn't be here today without Lauren's generosity and collaboration and wisdom. Really, Lauren has been a partner in this work since 2015.
2011?
11, okay. No.
What is BRAC? You wanna know what BRAC is?
Okay. But here's Lauren. She'll tell us a little bit about the mansion. Just lift up.
Wow, look at you. So pretty. I'm so glad you're all here. So I want you to know that we are sharing the campus today with another delightful group of people, another community. There are 150 ukulele players down across the parking lot of the music center. It's the first day of Youth Fest. And so if you run across them roaming up across the campus, we all belong. It's all one. Oh my God. Today means so much to me personally. I was here, I think the first event Seema in her other capacity did here in whatever year, which we will figure out that year. And so it's really wild to be here so many years later doing similar work with you all. And the partnership with Community Building Artworks really is one of my deepest joys of my work here. I've been here for 13 years. I do a lot of stuff with a lot of people. And this is just like really close to my heart. It's so special, and it feels, I think Strathmore is lucky and honored to get to walk alongside such a vibrant and heart-centered organization as CBW. This room, the music room in the mansion, has been hosting music and arts for over 100 years in different ways. A family used to live here, and if you want stories about the ghosts, they're ghosts that do haunt the halls. I'm happy to tell you about that later. And now, of course, it's this public-private partnership with the county and with our nonprofit, and it's just this kind of heartbeat here, this intimate wooden room. And so that I think this is the perfect space for all of us to be together today and hear each other's voices. It was also the home of the Strathmore Staff Talent Show not 3 days ago, where I was featured as a performer. So I will share that video. I just had to throw that in there. I will also say too that I'm happy to answer any questions about the broader Strathmore mission and all the good stuff that we do with kids and adults. But mostly I'm here to just hear your poetry, look at the art you're gonna make, and watch you be with each other. So I think that's it. I had some more gravitas to bring, but I think I'm not gonna bring it. Huh? Wonder Bread. Oh, Wonder Bread. Okay. So this house was built with money by a guy who either invented Wonder Bread or he invented the machine that makes Wonder Bread. I'm gonna get clarity on that. But this house exists because of Wonder Bread. So and I will say that at Strathmore we believe the arts are as primal as nature and as essential as love. And I don't know what other gathering could express that better than today. So welcome, have an amazing day.
Hello, I'm Ben Weekly, I'm the Director of Development for Community Building Artworks. It's so wonderful to see all you wonderful, joyous people here today. Recognizing that I am probably the last thing standing between you and a wonderful, beautiful day. I do have some thanks and gratitude to share to our sponsors and a lot of the folks who made this day possible. Wonder Bread withstanding, we have some names that stepped up huge to make this day possible. First and foremost, the Windrose Fund. Absolutely, we would not be here today making this day happen without their support. Our champion sponsors, Amazon Military, Anna Kelly, is Anna here? If you participate in an arts activity, Amazon Military and Anna made that possible today. So thank you so much to you and what you're doing for us in our community with that. If you enjoyed breakfast or coffee, Dog Tag Bakery. Meaningful for them to support us today. So many of our community members pass through their programs as well. Check them out. They are a wonderful, wonderful program for veterans in the DC area and beyond. And finally, Walter Reed Society. Absolutely meaningful that they support us as we got our start as an expressive arts program for wounded warriors on Walter Reed's campus. And so it feels very full circle that the Walter Reed Society stepped up and made a lot of this day possible, in particular supporting stipends and help for some of our veteran performers and artists here today. Finally, food, some individuals, Martha Peterson, Amanda Height, individual supporters helping us with food today. And CBAW does not function without our recurring donors, who are too many for me to list here today, but many are here. Our sustaining donors keep us afloat year to year, month to month. We cannot do this without you. We appreciate you so much. You'll hear me say this a few times today, but art saves lives. And if you want to help us carry that mission outside of these walls, you'll find today QR codes. They'll say give belonging. You'll find a few donation pledge cards spread throughout the building. I encourage you to consider finding ways to support us as we carry this mission out into the world. And more than that, I hope you enjoy this beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you so much.
You change the microphone. Thank all of you for coming today and being a part of this event. When I first started here about a year and a half ago, like officially, I was like, this is what I want to do one day. That didn't happen. You guys all here to make, I really just hope you all have a great time, eat, talk, make art, write, do whatever it is that makes you happy. I just wanted to tell you guys a couple of the programs that are happening and introduce you to a few people. We have Sankofa Video Books and Cafe. They will have a pop-up poetry shop upstairs in Gallery 2. They will also carry some of the books of some of our authors, including our anthology. So definitely check them out. They'll be there until 4 p.m. all day. The gift shop will be open from 12 to 4 o'clock. And if you like my t-shirt, for sale. So definitely check that out as well as our other t-shirt. If you go to the Children's Lounge, there is a digital exhibit. We have some artists who have submitted some artwork that is on the screen, and clips of our documentary as well, and an affirmation activity that's self-guided. And then in the sun porch, which is down that way, is our wood turning. So if Steve McCombs is here, if you can wave. He's one of our veteran. He's running film turning, and I said, how many people can you support in 2 hours? 4. I was like, oh my God, so many people are going to be upset. So that's Woodcraft of Rockville, and they were so gracious to donate supplies, resources, and their time to make that possible. So we have from Woodcraft Rockville, we have Roman, Ray, I believe they brought some of the materials to sell, so if you're interested in purchasing, you can check that out. If you signed up for wood turning, you have an email from me that tells you what time and who you're doing this with. If you don't remember, just go by the registration desk. Amanda will tell you. And then we have in the main hall, many of our great facilitators who are here. So our leads are Joe Merritt, who's also our co-founder. We also have Valerie Acosta, who's my friend and military family member. Leslie Run, is she here? Yes. And a wonderful friend and supporter, Annie Friedman. In addition to Amazon Military supporting our event with funds to help us do this event, they also brought some volunteers. So definitely say hi to those volunteers who are here with Amazon Military. Thank you so much. And then my family came. Then in the morning we'll have Ben and then Laura. You wave. They'll be helping out in the main hall, and then they'll be doing poetry salon in the library at 3 o'clock. And then this is a space for many of the other programs. If you are going to do writing right after this, you're just going to stay here and do writing, and then you're going to come back for the performance after lunch, and then you are going to stay here for improv with Amelia. Then you're going to have lots of snacks and deliciousness, and then you're going to come back for the evening performance. So, Thank you so much. I truly appreciate this and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you and talking to you. Thank you.